Cloud Speed is your gateway to AI and the cloud.
Okay, welcome back to Cloud Speed. So today's project is an interesting one indeed. So the project we plan to work on today is one of the most popular topic in AI and of course in cloud engineering. That is MCP servers. So this particular project is interesting to me because I wanted to build exactly the same thing some time ago. That was be some 2 years ago, which was to create a time server where users can ask the conversion of time between time zones. So it was simply going to be, oh, I have this meeting or I have this event in this time zone, and here is my current time zone. So I need to know the proper conversion so I can prepare and be on time. When it has to do with this relative time zones to the internet, online meetings, virtual events, those kind of things. So that was my idea for these time servers back then. But it was a little bit difficult before the advent of the this current kind of AI we have at the moment. It was difficult. So let me quickly talk about MCP. An MCP server is just a way for you to easily connect your large language model to a data source. So your data source in this case could be an API, or it could be a database, or just any other thing that has to do with providing structured data. Then you are connecting it to your large language model. So MCPs usually they run locally on the runtime of your large language model. So let's say you are hosting a large language model in this server on your local computer, then the MCP typically runs on the same server software. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in the same server, but let's say the same server software, which is the group of servers that host your large language model. So it runs in the same software as your large language model. So it's typically called the runtime. Go to the documentation to quickly get started. So the first step here is to create an EC2 instance with a free tier. So it says create an EC2 instance, give it Amazon Linux 2, T2 Micro, and a key pair. Okay, so maybe we can include here to name the key pair. So what we did there is we also give a recommendation to name the key pair MCP dash time. So this will make it easier for you to be able to run your SSH command. So you don't have to tweak the aspect of the key pair name. But even if you decide not to name it this way, you can as well tweak the commands to fit what you have named your key pair. So let's go ahead. We create an MCP server. So yeah, this is our instance. We launch an instance. So we name it MCP server. We don't need this. So we're using Amazon Linux 2. Okay. Yeah, we're using that. Then we use T2 Micro. Yeah, key pair. So we just launch a key pair. So this is how you launch your key pair, MCP time. So I already created a key pair with the same name. So if it will accepted, you just click on create key pair. So I'll use my own key pair. If I go over here, MCP time. Then for security group, you want to allow SSH, you want to allow HTTP traffic from anywhere. Then we can leave this as it is, then launch. So going back to the documentation, the next thing on our documentation is to SSH into your instance. Remember to update the IP address, where you can only SSH to your instance when your instance is ready. So you have to confirm your instance is ready before you can SSH into it. Your instance is being prepared, so you can as well wait a little bit, then copy the IP address. Yeah, you know what? Let's do this. Copy the IP address so you can update it on your documentation while the instance is being created. can update it over here too. Let's copy this. Let's just confirm that our instance have been created successfully. Yeah, it's running. You can open a window for VS Code where you can connect to your instance. So what we could do is, let's just quickly go through the code base. So the code base here is your Streamlit folder. This is where your secrets are contained, because you'll be connecting to AWS Bedrock agents directly from your application. So you'll be needing access key and access secrets. So this is what contains your access key and access secrets over there at the Streamlit. Then we have the docs, which is your README. That's where the documentation is for the step by step. Then you have your key, your MCP time, yeah. Then you have others. So others here is just the code you upload to your Lambda. So this code contains the dependency packages and then the Lambda code. So what you do is you upload it to your Lambda and then you can edit it from your Lambda directly. Then you have your MCP server, also called the time. So this is where the actual code for your MCP server is. So we can go through it because this is the core of what we need for MCP. Then you have the test. Test is unnecessary. You have the app.py. This is your front-end application. You have the Docker file because you'll be running your MCP server as a Docker container. So this is what creates your image. Then this is your dependencies. This is your Docker file. So we can go through the server.py file. So after going through your file, what you can do is you open your terminal and for this you connect your SSH to your EC2 instance. Remember, you have to update the IP address. Oh, I forgot the key pair. So what's the name of our key pair again? Remember, our key pair is in the keys folder. So you have to say key, then MCP time. Let's try to connect back again to our instance. Just to be sure, we have to copy the IP address again. Just to be sure, let's copy the IP address again. And then we edit it over here. It has a public key denied, so. Oh, sorry about this. I have to update the documentation. It's not supposed to be in go-to. It's EC2 user. Yeah, it's EC2 user, so that's the issue. Update it. Yeah, we'll be connected now. So next we need to transfer these files over here to our EC2 instance. So we create another. Yeah, we create another one here. The files we truly need for running the MCP server is just the Docker file, the py project.this, then the source file, which is the contents of this MCP server time. But nevertheless, we transferred everything to our EC2 instance because we can always delete it when we are done. Yeah, so this is it. So it should work. Let's see. Okay, that is it. It's copying to our EC2 instance. Okay, so now it's copying. What we can do is we can confirm that your files have been successfully transferred, which is using the ls command. And next, you build your Docker image or EC2 instance. When you finish copying your files, we'll go by here back. At least let's see that our file is being, yeah, you can see it over here. So one other thing I noticed is for our server file, yeah, this is the one that hosts our MCP server through HTTP. Okay, we believe our files must have been successfully copied to our server at this point. Can expand this a little bit. Yeah, it's copied. So the next on our documentation is to install Docker. Okay, we update our environments first. Okay, then the next thing is to start the installation. Okay, next command is to start Docker. Okay, still installing. All right, so let's start Docker. Then we enable Docker. Now we give our user full access to Docker. Then you exit. So let's go with the Docker version. But we have to exit first to make our changes to have effects relating to our user. You SSH back into it. Okay, now we can confirm. Yeah, we have Docker installed successfully. Can now build our image. Docker build. Okay, this will take some time, but we have to be patient. So we'll go back again. What's the next command? Next command is to verify that the image is present. That is after we have successfully built our image. Okay, let's confirm that the image is present. Yeah, we have our image. So we need to run our image. So we can run our image to allow HTTPS or HTTP access from anywhere. So we won't be using HTTPS because we are not using any service that could enable encryption of traffic into our server at this point. So maybe we are not using traffic, we are not using NGX. So we just want to expose our server directly without any of these reverse proxy providers or software. So what we do is we run this command to start our server and expose it through port 8080. So we also have to check that our server security group allows access through port 8080. So it's what we have to test, and then we have to make the necessary modifications if that's the case. Okay, I think our server is started. So let's just check. Let's confirm that our server is running. We can do docker ps. Yeah, so our container is still up and running. Let's go back to the documentation. We have to test
Remember I told you about the ports, so we have to be concerned about the ports. So we can test from any browser. Oh, we have to update the IP address though. So let's see, we can test from any browser that our server is up and running. So we do this. Then remember to update the IP. Yeah, so you go by here, you update the IP. And let's see if it will work out. Oh, that is a call. That is a call. So we are not supposed to. We are supposed to run that particular command from the command line. Supposed to run that command from the command line. So we go over here. Then we update the IP address. So it's not responding. So what this means is that this means our server doesn't have port 8080 exposed. So we'll go over there and we configure it to expose port 8080. Come over here to networking. We are looking for our security group. So security group is where we can modify it. Okay, we can open the security group and modify it directly. So editing bandwidth, then you just add another one. Okay, you can say custom and you can say ports 80, 80. Yeah, custom, then you can as well split in all IP address outside of your network. So that is what this means. You're allowing all IP address outside of your network to be able to access port 8080 of your server. So let's see if it works out or if you have made the necessary or the right change. Okay, that is it. You can see this is the response from our server. What this means is that our server is up and is running, so we can as well use this. Can use this other command. So this one is just saying now we are giving a specific time zone. So we got to update the IP address. Oh, I missed that one. Or we can just let it be. Or we can access it as well from the internet, just like I was trying to do previously. Come over, you copy the HTTP link, then you can open it from your internet. Yeah, so you locate your instance and yeah, you copy your IP address and then you open it over here. Let's see, we'll still get the same response, but based on the time zone. Continue. So you see, we got the same response, but for this specific time zone, which is American New York time. So that means our server is up and running. So provided we have access to the ports and the IP address of our server, we are good to go. Okay, so the next thing is to create your Lambda function. So you create your Lambda function from your console. You name it MCP time, and you use mainly default settings. Use latest Python runtime because it's a Python code or a Python code base. For the function dependencies and code, upload the code base. Locate the Lambda function py file and edit the MCP base to reflect the server IP and the ports. Okay, so I think those were clear. So what we have to do is go back to your console and you create a Lambda function. Create one over here. So you said we should use MCP time. So we are using a Python, latest Python environment. Um, we handle the rule later on, so let's just stick with this for now. We don't need any of these things, so let's create it. So if you go back to the documentation, it says when you create it, you locate the function dependencies and code and upload to the code base. So this is where you from our code base, this is where you can locate the function order. So you see it here over here, random.zip. So you know what? I'll change it to lambda.zip. So if you go back to the code base, when you click on the folder order, that's where you see your Lambda environment or your Lambda code base. So it's named lambda.zip. So you upload this code base to your Lambda function, and then you see the code to edit over there. So come over here to Lambda, upload. You upload the .zip file. Yeah, so now you have it, your lambda.zip. You save it. Then you see the file you can edit over there. So recall, according to our step, it says we are going to edit. We are going to edit the server IP and then the port. So this is it over here. You have your MCP base, so your server IP and the port. So the port still remains 8080. So now we need to get our server IP. So you save it and you deploy. Okay, you deploy it. Maybe we can take a look at our Lambda function a little bit. So the Lambda function simply just takes the parameters we send to it. So going back to the documentation, it says you locate your Lambda, we have updated this obviously. Then you create your Bedrock agent. So go to AWS Bedrock, under build, select agent and click create. On the agent builder, give a name and a description. So we'll give it the usual name of MCP. No, we'll give it the time. We'll give it the name of time agent. So we say select agents or request a model if you don't have any. So let me take you through the process involved in doing this. So you come over here. So this is AWS Bedrock. Although I'm on the agents page, but this is AWS Bedrock. So you can locate your agent here, come over here to build and click on agents. Then you can start creating your agents immediately. So give it a name. Let's give it time agent. I'll give it a simple description. Agent to call MCP server. Enable multi-agent collaboration. No, we don't need to do that. We simply say create agent. Going back to the documentation, select model or request a model if you don't have any. Then, okay, we need to request a model. So this could be Anthropic model or AWS proprietary models. AWS has their own in-house models on Bedrock. So we can select either from Anthropic or we can select from AWS directly. So we can say select create a new service. So let's finish up with selecting the model. So create a new service role. Okay, then we can select the model. So I told you, can select from AWS or Amazon direct, or we can select from Anthropic. Just in case you don't have any model available, right? Just like you can see for Amazon, you click on request a model to take you to this page. And then this is the page you need to request model. So as you can see, I requested access to Cloud 3.5 Sonnet. So I requested access to that specific model. So that's how you request access to a model. So yeah, we are going for Anthropic Cloud because that's what we have access to. You select your model, you click on apply. Then you need an instruction. So this should be on our documentation. You say give your agent an instruction to follow. So we copy this. This is what we use for the instructions of our agents. Maybe I could read it aloud. You are a helpful agent that can guess the current time for a given time zone. When a user asks for the current time, call the get time function and provide the time zone parameter. So in this case, what it's saying is that you call the Lambda function, then you pass in the time zone parameter. So the agent is what determines the time zone it passes. So paste this instruction over here. So going back to the documentation, it says in the agent builder section, scroll down to action groups and click create time service action group. So that's what we need to name it, time service action group in camel case. So we can, yeah, this is action group. So let's create an action group. We call the name time service action group. Or we can give it a random description. So the group type, we select define its function details. I suppose it's given as well, yeah. Yeah, function details. Then select the function you created earlier. Define the function schema and parameters. Click on create parameter. So you define the function schema and parameter. So it says we should use function details. No, we want to select an existing Lambda function. So we have it over here. Yes. So remember, it says we need to create function parameter. Yeah, over here, click on add parameter. Let's check out the names we have for these parameters. So give the function name to get time, then matching your Lambda function .py file. So we are using the function name get time, which matches our Lambda function. This is the name the agent will use in its logic. Provide any clear description such as guess the current time for a specific time zone. So I think we skip some steps over here. Yeah, so this is it. Get time. Action group function one. It is get time. Get current time from our Lambda function. Oh yeah, I think we had one already, so we can delete one. So we can follow this documentation as stated. For parameter name, we use time zone. Parameter type string, then required true. So we are using string and it's required, so we have to use true. So I think we are set to create this. We are good to go. Let's create this. I think we had a little bit of an error there, so we can just try to figure out where the error is coming from. Okay, that is it. We have successfully created agent group, and you can see it over here. And it looks like, so let's go back to the documentation. So we save the group, we prepare and we publish your current updates. Yeah, we save the group and we prepare and publish. What we call something got missing over here, which is our model. So we have to select it back again. Yeah, just select it and paste the instructions back again. Just ensure it got saved. It gets saved whenever you paste it, so you don't have to be missing it every time. So this time around, we are going to save it. Not save and edit. Oh, we shouldn't have edited. So it says we should prepare. So the next instructions for us is to add a resource-based permission to your Lambda function to allow Bedrock agent to access it. Okay. So what this means is that we are using resource-based policy. So what a resource-based policy is it's a kind of permission statement you add to your Lambda function to allow some other resource to access it. So previously, what we do is that whenever we want to allow a resource to access another resource, we usually give the permission directly to the identity of that specific resource. But for the case of resource-based policy, you are giving it to the resource being accessed. In this case, it's a Lambda function. So you can do that over there from the configuration. You come over here to permissions. So this is the execution rule. This is where you add the permissions for Lambda. Before resource-based policy, you come over here to resource-based policy and you add your permission. You're not using an account, you are using a service and it's Bedrock. So Bedrock is not here, so you click on other. So you can follow our documentation as well. Your Lambda function, go to your resource, click add permissions. For your services, choose AWS services. Select others on the drop down. For service principal, use bedrock.com. Bedrock.amazon.aws.com. So this is its service principal. For statement ID, use something random. Then for source ARN, so this is the ARN of your Bedrock agent. And we have the format here, which is, yeah, we have the format. So all you need to do is to update this format with your agent ID. And you can easily get your agent ID. Go over here to your agent details. You can see the ID here. Yeah, so okay, that is it. So going back to the instructions. For action, select Lambda invoke function. Lambda invoke function. So we are good to go. You can save it now. So that is it. We have successfully added permissions, resource-based permission to our Lambda function. So this will allow Bedrock to be able to invoke our Lambda function and pass in the required parameters. Okay, so the next step from our documentation. So it's also stated here that you can do this directly from Cloud Shell without necessarily having to use the console. But I think the console is easier for me. But you can do this from Cloud Shell by running this command. So you update the command with the agent ID and the Lambda ARN. You can easily get that from the Lambda console. Then, yeah, I think those are just the two variables you need to update it with. And as well, you need to update it with your, you need to update it with your account ID. So let me update this as well. Account ID. Yeah, I kind of missed that one from my end. You need to update it from your account with your account ID as well. So you can get your account ID from any of your console page directly. So you can see your account ID over here. So this is your account ID. You click over here as well, you can see your account ID, but it's not necessary. You can as well see your account ID from here. So that is it. So that's your account ID. And this is also your ARN for your function. You can test your agents from the test sidebar. So you can type in what you want and then, okay, type in this and see if your agent is working properly as it could or as it should be. Come over here to your agent screen, then paste this over here, then run it. Wow, this is great. Our agent is working properly, it's working fine. The current time in America, New York, is 10 a.m. on Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. So currently, New York is in 10 a.m. Okay, that's great. So what we need now to do is, according to our documentation, is to create our agent alias. Our agent alias allows us to connect our front-end application to our AWS agent. So if we weren't using our front-end application in the first place, we wouldn't have needed the alias. So we can create it because for this particular project we are using the front-end application, because the point of this channel is to go through step by step for which you can create applications or software that you can improve and probably deploy to the public. So you can't just tell your users or every other person to access your agents through your AWS account. So you need a front-end application. So it says go over there to your agent and create an agent alias, give it a name, time agent, description if you have any. Then you click on save agent to generate the alias for you. To come over here, you see alias, you click on alias. Let's make this a little bit wider. Okay, it says name it time agent. Then description alias for our front end app to connect to AWS Bedrock. Okay, concrete alias. It will show up. Okay, that is your alias ID. So the next on our instructions is update your app code for the credentials. So you go back to your code base, come over here to app.py. So this is where your front-end application is. This is Streamlit. So Streamlit is an easy to use Python library that allows you to create easy front-end, awesome, nice application interfaces very easily without you going through the whole thing of the Bootstrap, your React, and every other thing. It has predefined buttons and components that you can customize to an extent. With little code, you can set them up and start running them. So for this particular code base, our Streamlit connects directly to AWS agents. For a more robust application or production-ready code, you shouldn't be connecting your front-end application to your agents directly. So you should have something like a back-end application, which will connect to your front-end, and then from your back-end connects to your agents. But it was quite unnecessary in this case because this is just a project. So for a more robust application, you can do that. You just create your back-end application, maybe with Python, Fast API, and then you connect it to your AWS agent. So this is what we have in this particular case. So you have you update your region. We are using US EC2, so we don't need to update that. So you just check your region and you update it. Then your agent ID. We saw our agent ID earlier, so this is your agent ID. Should update this. Then your alias ID, alias ID. Okay, yeah, that is it. You update your agent ID, your alias ID, and your region. So going back to the documentation, it says you should update your agent ID, your alias ID, and your region. Then as well says you should update your access keys and your secret access keys. So quickly, let me show you a video that shows you how to request your access keys and your secret access keys. So the access keys and secret access keys simply allows you to be able to access or to authorize your applications when they want to access AWS. So you use things like this. You use these keys from your backend code or from your front end code, although it's not recommended to use it from your front end code because your front end usually runs on your user's computer or devices. So you don't want anybody messing up with your keys. So you should run your access keys and your secret access keys, or you should rather use them on your backend code, which runs on your own personal servers or your cloud servers. But for this case, I'm using them on the front end for the reasons I mentioned earlier. This is just a project. So when you want to expand, you want to make it robust, that's when you set up your backend, which your Streamlit will connect to. So let me show you the video for requesting your access keys. So for the case of your access token and for the case of your access key and your secret key, what you do is you create a user and then you give it the permissions. So these are the permissions that are used for this particular Bedrock project. So the permissions I use are the Bedrock full access, the Bedrock limited access, and the Bedrock read-only access. These bottom two kind of unnecessary. So the only one you truly need is the Bedrock full access, which is stated here in the documentation. That you create your access key to connect to your agent, you give it the following permissions. Okay, that's how you request for your access keys. I've requested for my access keys. I don't need to show you my access keys at this point. Your access keys are present in this file, your Streamlit. So over here, you see your access keys. So when you get to this part of the code base, you simply come over here, access key ID. This is where you put in your access key ID. Then over here, your secret access key. This is where you put in your secret access key. So you just update this. You don't have to change any other thing. Now it's time to run your application. You come over here to you get the command, which is streamlit run app.py. Come here. You ensure you are in the right directory where your app.py is. Then you run your command streamlit run app.py. To open up a browser, or rather to open up your default browser. Yeah, so this is your application. Time zone chats with Bedrock agent. Okay, the next step here is to test your agent to ensure it's working. So what we try to do with this particular application is to give it a simple interface. Like I told you the story of my first intentions of building an application like this. It was a simple interface. So it's not necessarily going to be a web interface, maybe a mobile interface, or maybe like an extension to some other software on your computer, where you can quickly ask it questions about a time zone in natural language, and it will give you a quick and easy to digest response, not necessarily from tables or giving you in structured formats, to give you a natural language back. So let's say something like, what is the time right now in South Korea? Let's see what it says. So it says the time right now in South Korea is 11:10 p.m. on Tuesday. And the time right now on my end is 3 p.m. on Tuesday. Okay, so we can as well say something more complex like, I have a meeting with a client currently in California, America, and I am in South Africa. So please tell me the time for which I would be in the meeting based on my local time. So let's say I have a meeting with a client by 2 p.m. of their time, currently in California, America. So this is a real world use case. I remember this was one of his a scenario like this was one of my intentions for wanting to create the application I mentioned earlier. So let's see what the chatbot has to say. Based on the current time difference, your 2 o'clock p.m. meeting with the client in California will be at 11 p.m. your local time in South Africa. Please note that time difference can change due to daylight savings time, so it's always good to double check closer to the actual meeting date. All right, I got this. So we can as well go through another form to say, let's say something like, I am currently in Nigeria. My time is 3 p.m. Okay, my time is 1 p.m. and I want to have an immediate meeting with a friend in Russia. No, let's not use Russia because Russia is too. Let's use Moscow. What will time be at their end so I know if I can go ahead with meeting? There are lots of applications for software. One application like this, Just to name a few, there are lots of them. You can use this particular software for so many things. So it's just the starting, or it's just the base. Okay, says considering it's mid-afternoon in Moscow, it's likely a suitable time for a meeting. However, keep in mind that business hours and personal schedules may vary, so it's always best to confirm. So this is great actually. I don't see what else I need to improve or I need to add to this, but there are lots of things you can improve in terms of the security, in terms of its robustness, in terms of various applications, in terms of its functionalities and the interface. It doesn't necessarily have to be this chatbot-based interface. It can be a lot more. Then as well, it can be API-based, where that people will be using this particular platform to convert between to convert or to do various time-based interactions or conversion. So it's such a nice project. I recommend that you go through this project yourself to deploy it and to go through it, to host it yourself and to interact with it yourself. So what we can do is to close the application right now, and we can start. As you can see, we have gone through the step process. We have gone through the end of the project. So you can start deleting your resources. Okay, so let's see. All right, you can close this now. You can close this. Then you can delete your resources. Let's delete our agent first before we delete every other thing. Click over here, delete your agents.
So thank you for following through this project. Coming soon, we'll be creating other projects where we use MCP servers as well. So I'll urge you to smash the like button, to subscribe to this channel if you really want to learn more about AI and the cloud. We'll give you the latest information.
CloudSpeed is your gateway to AI and the cloud. We make videos showing you the latest in tech, and we break down the real-world use cases. If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for watching.